Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Take a quiet moment to settle in, because today's conversation is not about motivation or pressure. It's about understanding something deeper: how personal value is built, recognized, and respected in the real world. If your life looks acceptable on the outside, but inside you feel overlooked, underestimated, or quietly stuck, this message is for you. Not because you are failing, and not because you lack talent. Often, the problem is simpler and more uncomfortable. The value you carry is not yet visible. Most people try to fix this by working harder, speaking louder, or asking for more attention. But value does not grow that way. Value grows through clarity, discipline, restraint, and skill, often in silence. This is not a lesson you play in the background. It's an invitation to see yourself differently and to begin building a level of value that no one can ignore. If you stay with me, this may change how you move, speak, and choose from this point forward. There is a quiet truth many people avoid for years. The world does not respond to effort. It does not respond to good intentions. And it does not respond to how much you have suffered in silence. The world responds to value. This is difficult to accept, especially if you are someone who tries hard, who shows up, who stays patient, who believes that fairness will eventually arrive. But look closely at how life actually works. People listen to those who bring value. They follow those who offer value. They pay those who create value. Respect is not given as a reward for endurance. It is a reaction to usefulness, clarity, and impact. And this is where many people get stuck. There was a moment when someone stopped explaining why they worked so hard. Not out of anger, not to make a point. They simply focused on improving what they were responsible for. They spoke less in meetings, listened more, delivered without announcements. At first, nothing changed. But over time, conversations shifted. Questions became more specific. Decisions included them more often. No title was given. No praise was asked for, yet something had quietly moved. If you feel ignored right now, if your voice feels small in rooms where decisions are made, this is not a judgment of who you are as a person. It is feedback. It is information. It simply means the value you carry is not yet visible or strong enough to change how others respond to you. And that is important because it means the situation is not permanent. Value is not something you are born with. It is not your family name, your background, your education, or your past mistakes. Value is built slowly, quietly, repeatedly, through what you choose to improve when no one is watching. Many people confuse time with worth. They believe that because they spend many hours working, they should automatically be respected. But time alone does not create value. 10 years of the same level produces the same result as 1 year repeated 10 times. Growth is what increases value, not duration. Others confuse kindness with leverage. They give more, explain more, tolerate more, hoping that appreciation will follow. But appreciation without value is fragile. It fades quickly. Value creates stability. When you become valuable, respect does not need to be requested. It arrives naturally. This is where responsibility shifts back to you, not in a harsh way, but in a powerful one. If the world is not responding, it is not your job to shout louder. It is your job to build deeper, to become someone whose presence changes outcomes. Value is created through discipline, doing what is necessary even when it is boring. Through restraint, knowing when not to speak, not to react, not to chase. Through skill, learning something the world actually needs and becoming reliable at it. And through self-respect, treating your own time, energy, and attention as limited resources. Once value increases, behavior around you changes. People stop overlooking you. Opportunities come without force. Conversations shift. You are no longer competing for space. Space is made for you. You cannot create more hours in a day. Everyone has the same 24, but you can increase what each hour produces. And that is the core distinction between those who remain unseen and those who become unavoidable. This is not about proving yourself to others. It is about aligning who you are becoming with what the world responds to. When that alignment happens, life feels different, quieter, stronger, more controlled. And this understanding is only the beginning. There is a pattern many people never notice until it has already cost them respect. The more available you are, the less valuable you appear. This feels unfair at first, especially if you were taught that being kind means always saying yes, always replying quickly, always showing up. You may believe that loyalty is proven through constant access, but the world does not read availability as generosity. It often reads it as weakness. Think about how value works in everyday life. Anything that is unlimited, easy to reach, and always present slowly loses importance. When effort is not required, attention disappears. This rule does not apply only to objects. It applies to people. When you answer every message instantly, agree to plans you do not respect, or make yourself available at all times, you send a quiet signal. Your time is not important. And if you do not protect your time, others will not protect it for you. This is how respect fades without drama. No argument, no clear moment, just a slow shift where people assume you will always be there, always flexible, always understanding. And once that assumption is formed, your value drops in their mind, even if your intentions are good. Setting boundaries is not about being cold or selfish. It is about clarity. When you choose when to engage and when to step back, you teach others how to treat you. Scarcity creates focus. Limits create meaning. Notice the difference between two people. One is always reachable, always adjusting, always available. The other is present with intention. They show up fully when they say yes, but they do not say yes to everything. Over time, the second person is taken more seriously. Their words carry more weight. Their presence is felt. This happens because boundaries create structure, and structure creates trust. Many people fear that saying no will make them lose connection. In reality, the opposite is often true. When you respect your own limits, people either adjust their behavior or remove themselves. Both outcomes are useful. What remains is cleaner, stronger, and aligned with your growth. Being less available does not mean disappearing or playing games. It means responding instead of reacting. It means choosing your commitments instead of being pulled by them. It means allowing space between you and others so respect has room to exist. You are not required to explain every decision. You are not obligated to justify your focus. Silence, when chosen consciously, is not distance. It is discipline. When your time becomes selective, your energy becomes noticeable. People stop wasting it. Conversations become more direct. Requests become more thoughtful. This is not because you demanded respect, but because you demonstrated self-respect. Value does not come from being needed at every moment. It comes from being missed when you are absent. And absence only has power when presence is intentional. This is the shift. From being constantly available to being deliberately present. From pleasing others to protecting your direction. And once this shift happens, something important changes. You are no longer trying to earn importance. You are defining it. This is how value begins to take shape. In a world where everyone is talking, explaining, posting, and reacting, silence has become rare, and rarity creates value. Most people believe that being noticed requires constant expression. They speak to fill space. They explain to be understood. They share to feel important. But the result is often the opposite. The more they talk, the less weight their words carry. Noise creates familiarity, and familiarity removes impact. High-value people understand a different rule. They do not rush to be heard. They allow attention to come to them. Speaking less is not about being distant or unfriendly. It is about intention. When you choose your words carefully, each sentence carries direction. When you pause before responding, you signal confidence. When you do not rush to explain yourself, you show that your presence does not depend on approval. Think about how rooms work. There is often one person who talks constantly, trying to impress, filling every silence. And then there is another person who listens, observes, and speaks only when it matters. Without trying, the second person holds more attention. Their calm creates gravity. Silence creates space. And space allows others to notice you. Oversharing weakens this effect. When you reveal every plan, every emotion, every frustration, you give away control. People no longer wonder. They no longer lean in. They already know the story. Mystery disappears, and with it, respect. This does not mean hiding your personality or suppressing emotion. It means choosing where your energy goes. Not every thought needs a voice. Not every feeling needs an audience. Not every goal needs to be announced. When you move quietly, your actions become louder than your explanations. Progress becomes visible without commentary. And when results appear without warning, they carry more weight than promises ever could. Silence also protects you. When you stop explaining yourself to people who are not invested in your growth, you become less affected by judgment, gossip, and doubt. You are no longer defending your direction. You are walking it. Listening is another form of power. When you listen more than you speak, you notice patterns others miss. You understand motives. You gain clarity before reacting. This gives you an advantage in conversations, relationships, and decisions. Start practicing this deliberately. Pause before you answer. Let silence settle instead of rushing to fill it. Speak only when your words add direction or clarity. You will notice a change. People begin to pay closer attention. Conversations become more respectful. Your presence feels heavier, even when you say very little. This is because real value does not demand attention. It creates it. When you stop performing and start observing, your energy shifts. You are no longer trying to be seen. You are allowing yourself to be felt. Silence is not emptiness. It is restraint, and restraint signals strength. As you continue building your value, remember this: you do not need to announce growth. Growth speaks for itself, and when it does, it is far more convincing than any explanation. This is how presence replaces noise, and how quiet confidence becomes unmistakable. There is a quiet advantage many people overlook. When others cannot fully read you, they pay closer attention. In a time where everything is shared instantly, thoughts, plans, emotions, progress, privacy has become rare, and rarity creates value. A person who does not reveal everything, who does not react publicly, who does not explain every move, naturally draws curiosity. Mystery is not about pretending. It is not about acting distant or cold. It is about control. It is about choosing what to reveal and what to protect. When access to you is earned rather than given freely, your presence carries more weight. Most people give away too much information too early. They announce their goals before they have taken the first step. They share their struggles with people who cannot help them. They explain their plans to audiences who will never support them. This openness feels honest, but it weakens focus. It exposes unfinished work to unnecessary opinions. When everything is visible, nothing feels special. High-value individuals move differently. They work quietly. They improve privately. They allow results to appear before explanations. This creates impact. When change is sudden and undeniable, it forces attention. People begin to ask questions. They wonder what happened, how it happened, and when it started. That curiosity is not accidental. It is the result of restraint. Mystery creates distance between impulse and reaction. Instead of responding emotionally, you observe. Instead of announcing progress, you let time compound it. Instead of proving growth, you let others notice it on their own. This does not mean disappearing from life. It means limiting access to your inner world. Not everyone deserves your plans. Not everyone needs your story. Not everyone should know your next move. When people ask too much, you do not owe them detail. Simple answers protect your energy. Short responses preserve direction. Silence keeps your focus intact. There is strength in being unreadable. When others cannot predict your behavior, they cannot control it. When they cannot track your progress, they cannot interfere with it. When they cannot measure your emotions, they cannot use them. This unpredictability is not chaos, it is discipline. Think of growth like construction. You do not invite strangers onto the site before the foundation is ready. You build first. You reveal later. This approach protects momentum and reduces distraction. As you practice this, something shifts. You become harder to define, harder to dismiss, harder to replace. Your absence becomes noticeable. Your presence becomes intentional. People begin to feel you even when you say very little. Mystery creates magnetism because it leaves space for imagination. And imagination pulls attention more strongly than information ever could. You do not need to explain who you are becoming. You need to become it. Let your silence handle the questions. Allow your results to speak without warning. When the world cannot figure you out, it watches. And when it watches, your value rises naturally. This is not withdrawal. It is preparation. And those who understand this do not chase recognition. They arrive with it. There is a limit many people never question, even though it quietly controls their life. That limit is their circle. You can be disciplined. You can be ambitious. You can listen to podcasts, read books, and promise yourself change. But if the people around you are not growing, not thinking forward, not challenging you, your value will slowly flatten. Not all at once. Gradually. Almost invisibly. This happens because environment trains the mind. The people you spend time with influence how you think, what you tolerate, and what feels normal. If your circle treats mediocrity as comfort, your ambition will begin to feel excessive. If your growth makes them uncomfortable, they will pull you back, not always with words, but with jokes, doubt, and subtle resistance. Pay attention to the signals. You stop talking about your goals because they are not taken seriously. You feel smaller after conversations instead of sharper. When you improve, someone reminds you of who you used to be. You give energy, advice, and support, but receive none that pushes you forward. This is not loyalty. It is gravity. Staying in the wrong circle has a cost. You begin to question your direction. You reduce your vision to avoid standing out. You stay busy with drama instead of progress. Over time, your value fades, not because you lost it, but because it is never allowed to rise. Imagine trying to climb while carrying extra weight that does not belong to you. Every step feels heavier, not because you are weak, but because you are surrounded by resistance instead of momentum. Upgrading your circle does not require confrontation. It requires awareness. You do not need to announce distance. You simply create it. You observe instead of arguing. You invest time where growth is normal and effort is respected. This may feel lonely at first, but loneliness is not failure. It is a transition. Sometimes, the most powerful move is stepping back without explanation. New circles do not always appear immediately in physical form. They can begin digitally, through mentors, thinkers, builders, and creators whose standards are higher than yours. Even distant voices can raise your internal environment. Over time, this shift changes how you speak, decide, and carry yourself. Some people will not grow with you. That does not make them bad. It simply means their path is different. But you must decide whether you want comfort with them or growth beyond them. Your value multiplies when you are surrounded by people who think long-term, speak with clarity, and respect effort. In the right environment, discipline feels natural, ambition feels supported, silence feels productive. Do not fear losing people. Fear losing your direction by staying where you no longer belong. You are not meant to shrink so others feel comfortable. You are meant to rise where growth is expected. And when you choose your circle with intention, your value stops leaking and begins to expand. This is not abandonment. It is alignment. And alignment always raises your ceiling. Before anyone hears your ideas, understands your skills, or notices your character, something else happens first. You are seen. This is not about vanity, and it is not about pleasing others. It is about awareness. The world makes judgments quickly, often unconsciously, and appearance is the first signal it reads, not because people are shallow, but because appearance communicates discipline, self-respect, and intention. Many people misunderstand this idea. They believe that caring about appearance means being fake or materialistic, so they ignore it. They tell themselves that what's inside is all that matters. But value that cannot be seen is rarely approached. Your appearance is not who you are. It is how you arrive. When you show up looking unprepared, careless, or tired, people lower their expectations before you speak. They assume less clarity, less control, less seriousness. But when you present yourself with care, clean, composed, intentional, the room responds differently. Attention sharpens. Respect rises faster. Conversations change tone. This has nothing to do with expensive clothes or perfect looks. It has everything to do with effort. Looking put together signals that you respect yourself. And self-respect is contagious. When others sense it, they adjust automatically. You do not need to ask for respect. Your presence invites it. Think of your appearance as a visual introduction. Long before words are exchanged, your posture, grooming, and energy have already spoken. They say whether you take yourself seriously. They say whether you value the moment you are stepping into. This is why two people with the same skills can be treated very differently. One blends into the background. The other is listened to immediately. The difference is not intelligence. It is presentation. Investing in appearance is an act of discipline. It means choosing clothes that fit and feel intentional, keeping yourself clean and well-groomed, standing with confidence, moving with awareness, showing that you did not arrive by accident. This is not for others. It is for alignment. When the way you look matches the future you are building, something shifts internally. You behave differently. You speak with more certainty. You move with direction. The outer change reinforces the inner one. You do not need to impress anyone. You need to represent yourself accurately. When you look like someone who values their path, people assume you are going somewhere, and people make space for those who look like they belong in the room. This is quiet authority. You can control how you show up. You can decide whether your appearance supports your growth or contradicts it. And when appearance begins to reflect your inner standards, the world responds faster. Value is not only built in skills and silence. It is also carried in how you enter a space. When the outside reflects the inside, your presence becomes undeniable. There is a silent rule that shapes how people respond to you. The more you chase, the less valuable you appear. Chasing can take many forms. It might look like constantly seeking approval, explaining yourself too much, following people who give little in return, or pushing for opportunities that do not respond. No matter the form, the message is the same. I need this more than you need me. And that message weakens your position. Attraction works differently. Attraction is not loud. It is not desperate. It comes from completeness. When you are grounded in who you are becoming, others feel it without explanation. People do not pursue what feels uncertain or unstable. They move toward clarity, confidence, and self-respect. That is why diamonds are desired and discounts are chased. Value does not run after attention. Attention moves toward value. When you chase, you give away control. You adjust your behavior to fit someone else's response. You wait for replies. You measure your worth through reactions. Over time, this creates tension and insecurity, not because you are weak, but because chasing places power outside of you. Attracting shifts power inward. This shift begins when you stop trying to impress and start focusing on becoming. You invest in your skills, your discipline, your mindset, and your standards. You build a life that feels aligned even when no one is watching. That energy is felt immediately. Silence plays a role here. When you stop chasing explanations, your absence becomes noticeable. When you walk away calmly instead of insisting, respect rises. Not because you threatened to leave, but because you showed that your direction does not depend on approval. Attracting does not mean isolating yourself. It means moving with intention. It means allowing people and opportunities to meet you at your level instead of lowering yourself to meet theirs. You do not need to convince the right people. They recognize value naturally, and the wrong ones remove themselves when you stop chasing. This is not loss, it is clarity. Replace the habit of chasing with building. Build your skill until it becomes reliable. Build your appearance until it reflects self-respect. Build your peace until it is not easily disturbed. Build your standards until they guide your decisions. When you do this, your energy changes. You stop asking to be chosen. You become someone worth choosing. The moment you stop proving yourself, pressure disappears. You are no longer reacting. You are directing. And direction creates attraction. Let go of the need to be noticed. Focus on being grounded. If something is meant to stay in your life, it will not require you to abandon yourself to keep it. And if it leaves when you stop chasing, it was never aligned with your growth. Value does not beg, it invites. And when you build value patiently, the world adjusts its distance. People come closer not because you called them, but because they felt something solid and rare. This is how attraction replaces effort, and how calm confidence becomes magnetic. Everything you have built so far rests on one foundation: your mind. You can improve your skills. You can sharpen your appearance. You can change your circle and protect your time. But if your mind is fragile, all of it can collapse the moment pressure appears. Life will test you. Rejection will happen. Uncertainty will arrive without warning. And in those moments, your true value is revealed. A strong mind is not a personality trait. It is a trained condition. Most people never train it. They train their body. They curate their image. They chase comfort and approval. But mentally, they stay reactive. They overthink small problems. They avoid discomfort. They lose focus when things get hard. This is why many people look confident until life pushes back. Mental value is built quietly through repetition. A trained mind stays steady when others panic. It can delay pleasure for long-term gain. It can sit with uncertainty without running away. It can think clearly under pressure and act without needing validation. This is the kind of value that cannot be taken from you. Your mind becomes strong based on what you feed it daily. If you fill it with noise, distraction, comparison, and constant stimulation, it becomes restless and weak. If you fill it with reflection, learning, and challenge, it becomes calm and precise. The mind works like a garden. Whatever you allow to grow will take over. Training your mind starts with input. Choose what you read, watch, and listen to carefully. Not everything deserves access to your attention. Seek ideas that stretch you, not content that numbs you. Ask yourself better questions. Who am I becoming? What habits are shaping me right now? What am I tolerating that is slowing me down? Silence is also part of mental strength. Beginning the day without immediately reaching for a screen gives your mind space before it absorbs the world's demands. Sitting quietly, even for a few minutes, teaches focus and emotional control. Writing your thoughts down clears mental noise and builds clarity. Growth also requires resistance. The mind strengthens when it is challenged. Do the work you want to avoid. Focus when distraction feels easier. Continue when motivation disappears. This is how discipline is built. Not through intensity, but through consistency. Two people can start at the same point. One relies on motivation and comfort. The other relies on routine and reflection. Months later, the difference is clear. Not because one was smarter, but because one trained their mind to stay engaged when effort was required. Mental discipline compounds. Each day you choose focus over escape, you build internal authority. Each time you complete something difficult, your confidence becomes real, not imagined. Your mind can be your strongest ally or your quiet obstacle. It can pull you backward or move you forward, but it will follow the habits you teach it. If you want lasting value, train your mind as if your future depends on it, because it does. When your mind becomes steady, your decisions become sharper. When your thoughts are clear, your actions carry weight. And when pressure comes, you do not break. You adjust. This is the final layer of value, invisible but decisive. Once your mind is trained, nothing external can easily shake what you have built. Everything you've heard so far leads to one clear understanding. It was never about being louder, busier, or more liked. It was always about value. Value is what determines how you are treated, how seriously you are taken, and how many doors open without force. And the most important part is this: value is not something you wait for. It is something you build, step by step, through discipline, restraint, skill, environment, appearance, and mental strength. You don't need to change everything at once. You only need to stop ignoring what matters. Each small decision to protect your time, sharpen your focus, and respect yourself moves you closer to the person you are meant to become. One day, people will notice the difference. Not because you explained it, but because your presence feels stronger. And when that happens, remember this moment. The moment you chose growth over noise and direction over comfort. This is not an ending. It is the beginning of a higher standard.